Welcome to the Strong Enough podcast, where we talk about the challenges and celebrate the triumphs of people from all walks of life. I'm your host, Claudia. Today's guest is going to talk about leaving an unhealthy relationship. He's going to share what he has done moving forward and why he decided it was important to spiral up instead of spiral down. Please help me welcome Sean Bridges. Sean, how are you today?
Very good. Nice to be with you.
It's so nice to be with you. I really appreciate you taking the time to hang out with me for a little bit today.
My pleasure. It's a bar weekend. So I work at a bar at a whiskey distillery now, and I'm getting used to my weekends being Wednesdays and Thursdays. So it's kind of throws everything for a loop, but it works for me right now.
I love that. And my ears perked up a little bit when you said whiskey distillery. So this is not the purpose of our time today, but at least share a little more about that. Need to hear what's going on at the distillery.
It's something I got into in March, actually, when the relationship kind of came to an end, and I basically was kind of in a position of deciding what I was going to do. One thing was employment, finding a new job, finding a new way to move forward. And I went into this whiskey distillery primarily to get a bottle of whiskey from my father, and asked them, "Hey, are you guys hiring bartenders?" And they just happened to be, and I had some bartending training. I'd never done it professionally before, but I thought, yeah, I want to dive in and do this. And it's been a great kind of helping me rebuild. But it's a lot of fun. Right now is Labor Day weekend. We're on the edge of that, so it's going to be a chaotic next couple of days. Mm-hmm. But I make old fashions and all sorts of different cocktails, and just like the clientele that comes in there, it's more of a tasting room than a bar, but it still works functionally like a bar. So I'm enjoying it. It's something that I didn't think I would like as much as I do, honestly, right now.
I love that. And very quickly, what town are you in?
I live I'm in the Texas Hill Country, which is kind of right in the middle of Austin and San Antonio. And I work out of Blanco, Texas is where I'm working out of there now.
Nice.
A small little town in the Hill Country.
Excellent. Well, we kind of jumped right in there because you said whiskey and I had to ask. So let's rewind just a tick. And I would love it if, other than bartending, if you would tell the audience a little about yourself.
I'm a writer. I'm not really from anywhere. I was born in Wiesbaden, Germany. I went to college in Germany, in Heidelberg, moved around all my life. I was born in a military family, so we moved. I had an eternal clock every 3 years. It was we moved to a different state or continent all the time. So I was always the new guy and just kind of got used to that mindset. Went to school in Heidelberg, was corporate most of my life. I worked for IBM, Wells Fargo. I seem to, I'm a writer. I do audio productions on the side now, creating audio, basically kind of movies for your mind, bringing work to life with actors and sound effects and music. I write. I have a novel coming out of my first professionally published book coming out this November. So I'm excited about that. I like to write suspense thrillers. I'm a screenwriter. I won some awards as a screenwriter, and that's kind of what got me into the whole writing and creative side. But life is an adventure. It's still something that I'm enjoying and learning. I'm 55. I'll be 56 in December. And yeah, life's pretty good right now, I got to admit.
I love that. And I love that you have your first profesh novel coming out very soon. Tell us a little bit about that.
I had self-published a couple before, but this was one I got to a publisher and they picked it up. And even I didn't realize everything you go through. I knew I wanted to work with an editor, and that was a great experience working with 2 editors to get the manuscript into shape. It's been about a 3-year process, to a year to write it, a year to market it and find a home for it, and then a year to go through this gauntlet of things you have to go through. It's about a lawyer that gets into a car wreck, and the woman in the other car dies. She's the wife of a politician. He decides to use that to put a bounty on the guy's head. He's on the run with basically the entire state of Texas out looking for him. So it's called Gunbarrel Highway. It's a everyday man in extraordinary circumstance situation type of book. I tend to like those stories. So I was very happy it found a home, and I'm excited to see, it's coming out as a paperback, ebook, and audiobook. We'll do an audiobook version of it as well this November.
Excellent. Well, that is going to be dropping very soon here. So we'll make sure at the end that people know how they can grab that.
Sure.
You mentioned earlier when you were talking about, finding this job at the distillery, you said, a relationship was ending. And one of the first things that you needed to find was employment and just kind of happened upon this job. Will you talk a little bit more about, what happened? Because you said March, so this is very recent, it sounds like. What happened? What ended, what started this transition that you're in right now?
I was with my partner for 4.5 years. We loved each other. I asked her to marry me. She accepted. We were due to get married this year. And it just came to an end, and an ugly end, around February. So we've gone no contact. I basically blocked her on everything, and we're not speaking. But I discovered that I was really dating a narcissist, and that was something that I've learned about since. There was so many red flags during the relationship that I didn't really pick up on, whether it was wanting to transform me through Botox and lip injections, or wanting to cut friends out of my life, or an obsession with social media reactions, to the point that I just really didn't understand it. It was just it was hard, and I didn't expect it to turn ugly when it did. And that, I think, I saw a side of her that I had never seen before. And I also realized that we were over. There was no more us. It was me. And what was I going to do moving forward? And I could easily spiral downwards. It was crushing. And drugs and alcohol were easy to get and plentiful. And I thought that, I could, woe is me. But I just didn't want to. I didn't take anything from her. We split. She was a millionaire, bought her own house, very successful woman. I didn't want anything that she had. I just wanted my freedom, and I wanted out, and left with nothing other than some picture frames that I only took because I couldn't take the artwork out of the frames. It was kind of stuck in there. So I basically left with nothing, and was rebuilding. And it struck me. I was 55. And I'm a big 11 guy. So I thought, 55 is going to mean something this year. I just had no idea it was going to be this kind of complete tear down, rebuild, transformation in my life. And I think the realization of wanting to spiral upwards, if that makes sense, not allow myself to go down in a funk, but little by little rebuild. I came back to family property, family home, which was kind of embarrassing, to be honest, but I had nowhere else to go. And it was at least a stable place to grow from. It's a large piece of property with different, buildings on it. I didn't feel cramped. I had room, and I could come here and try to find myself again and rebuild and try again. And that's really what I've been doing. The biggest connection I think I made early on was a border collie. I loved border collies. I had 3 that I basically raised from puppies until they died. Border collies have about a 14 to 16 year lifespan. I took them all the way I could go until I couldn't go any further with them. And I missed that connection with those dogs. And I wasn't allowed to have one when I was with my previous partner, which sounds like a cool thing to say, but it's true. I just wasn't, I wasn't allowed to have a dog. So I missed that connection. When I came here, we had a border collie for the ranch property here. And I just bonded with that dog. And he gets me up in the morning. We go on walks. I do my exercises. Everything was positive, with a positive mindset of little increments moving forward, but moving forward physically, mentally, and then also finding myself, a sense of self-worth. I realized I was losing myself, whether it was wanting to change me physically or wanting to cut friends and then family out of my life, and then not really caring about any of my creative endeavors or any successes I was having there. It's just little things. Like I remember buying a CD at a used music store. It was a Police CD, and putting that on and realizing I could play my music in the car because it was mine. It wasn't our music, or that was, it was just ridiculous. But it was little things like that I would kind of latch onto. And just at the best time. So little things meant the world to me. I stopped drinking. I stopped smoking pot. I just kind of let that go. I'm funny working as a bartender, and I don't drink, which is kind of a good place to be. But I don't mean to be Amish about it, but I mean, I'll have a beer. I like a sea salt and lime beer every now and then, but I don't drink like I used to, put it that way. And I think it was realizing that was maybe getting a little, I was it was a crutch that I didn't need. And I wanted to focus more on my mind and body and spirit. So, yes, this all happened in February. February was the last time I spoke to her, and I've been healing since then and learning what kind of relationship I was in, which was not a good one. It was really toxic, and I made the right choice. I mean, I don't have any regrets for thoughts that I wish. The further I get away from that orbit, the more I am comfortable with the choice that I made and the direction I'm going. But it's all new and it's all a rebuilding time. So it's a wild time in my life right now, honestly.
So we are gonna talk more so about the positive, happy rebuilding things. But I want to ask first, you said there were some red flags and you mentioned a couple things. And when you mentioned those things, again, my ears perked up, but not in a good way, because the things that you mentioned are actually signs of a domestic abusive relationship when it comes to isolation, removing, you from your friends, trying to change your appearance. A lot of abusers, they might not go so far as, light plastic surgery, but clothing and things like that, music choices. So have you come to terms that you really were in an abusive relationship or not?
I mean, that's how I feel like I escaped. The best word I could come up with is I escaped this situation. And I could have easily, I realized I was given a choice. I could have just said, okay, and did whatever I was supposed to do and live in a wealthy environment. But I saw my future being this Botoxed guy that I didn't recognize, with no family, no friends, no dog, rattling around a mansion by myself, waiting for the next social event to attend. And I said, to hell with that. I don't want that future. That's not mine. That's somebody else. Somebody else can have that. And by all means, I wish her the best, but it wasn't anything I wanted to do. And none of this was news, too. I mean, I was close to my friends. I was close to my family. Growing up the way we scattered as I got out of college, and as my sisters, I had 3 sisters, as they started having kids, we drew us all back together. And we bought this property as a retirement place for my family, or my parents, and they retired from the military and travel around in an Airstream trailer and are very happy, but are also a little too old to take care of the property here. So there were times I was coming up to, we had a big ice storm. It was just, I understood that a narcissist will throw a wrench into any situation they can to make an issue out of anything. And that happened so many times through the holidays or events that it didn't have to happen to. I do understand I'm still coming to grips with what I went through. I'm just glad I'm not living through it anymore. I'm glad that I've definitely am away from it and moving forward. It did feel like a life year 0 experience for me. Like I'm starting over and I have no regrets, but I'm also not going to carry a lot of baggage around with me of this. Right. I was just glad I got out, and I don't want to wish her any ill will. I wish her the best, but I don't want anything to do with it. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it right now. That makes any sense. Huh?
No, it totally does. And I love your outlook. And what I appreciate about what you said is, you needed to get out and then you didn't have a job and needed a place to live. Those things often are barriers for people. When they're in an abusive relationship, they feel like they can't leave because, well, I don't have a job. I don't have anywhere to live. And you overcame those barriers because it was more important for you to get out of the situation that you were in. So what gave you that strength? What gave you the ability to say, like, no, I got to get out of here and I'll figure it out?
I was losing me. I was losing me. And it got to be, there was nothing I could do right. I couldn't say anything right. I couldn't do anything right. And it became a daily thing where I was told, whatever. It was always anything. And then my reaction would be frustration, and it would quickly turn back to, look how you're acting. You have an anger problem. You need to be on drugs. You need to see a therapist. And I thought, geez, maybe I am screwed up. Maybe I started to think these things. Maybe I do need to see somebody. And I remember driving around going, I think I just need to get out of these daily conversations that basically tell me how horrible everything is. I think if I stop having that, life will be better. And it was just, it was the holidays that did it. And I remember thinking, my mom was like, I'm so sorry. And I love the holidays from Halloween through New Year's. Mm-hmm. And then a lot of our birthdays are in December. So there's just a lot going on. And again, none of this was news. She knew who I was. She knew my family. She knew the situation. But it seemed like there was a wrench to be thrown into everything, and everything was a chore for no reason, just to cause chaos. And I just got tired of living like that. There's really no other. I mean, I could see my future, and I didn't like it, and I didn't like my present. And I realized I kind of had two choices. I could just give in to everything she wanted, cut out everybody she wanted, and live the way she wanted me to be, or not. And I chose the maybe more unknown path, but it has been the right choice. That's the only thing I've felt since. She would always tell me this thing that she wanted. I don't want a good relationship. I want the best relationship. And what I didn't realize was that didn't really include me. It was my job to get her that. And what I also understood was my feelings had no bearing whatsoever on the relationship. It didn't matter. And the most important thing was how the relationship was presented to the public in a social media setting, which is why selfies were so important. And we would get into so many arguments about, why didn't your sister put a heart on my post instead of a thumbs up? And I would be like, who cares? And it would devolve in this argument. And it was like, look at the way you're reacting. You need help. And I'm just thinking, this is the dumbest conversation I've ever been in. Who really cares about this stuff? Or your sisters won't do the things I want them to do. And I'm like, well, there's three of them. They're not a monolith. And yeah, they don't, I think she had come on too strong, and I could go down some more about that, but it was an uncomfortable situation that was always on me to fix. And I didn't understand why I had to, or why it was always a problem. Anything we had to do with her family, my answer was always like, sure. Okay. That always seemed to be the right way to do it. And anything with mine was a blowout all the time. And, I think you do that for long enough, and something either snaps in you, or you decide, I'm just going to give up and I'll live like this forever. And that scared me. The thought of being unhappy forever was scarier than the unknown, to be honest.
So just to throw it into the list, what you mentioned earlier, as far as, saying you need medication, anger management, that's called gaslighting. So that is trying to make people believe things that aren't true. Just want to get that out there. What did your family think? Did they like her, not like her, or did they say anything after you guys split up? What were their thoughts? They liked her, and they tried to connect with her. But I think they felt like it was a toxic relationship, and they could see me. She was kind of trying to marginalize my time and pull me away from them. It was almost like they became antagonistic. And anytime I had to do anything with my family, it was like, what are you doing? Well, I'm going to clean up some trees that were shattered from an ice storm. When are you coming back? Why are you going? You just went a couple of days ago. Why are you going again? And I'm just like, these are like 80-year-old parents. I'm going to go help because they can't physically do this stuff. I'm going to go do it for them. Why is this even a chore? Why is this? It felt strange, but no, my mom really liked her. I think my mom wanted me to be happy, to be honest with you. And I was happy. I'm not going to deny that I just started to realize that I don't think she was happy with me, because there were so many things that had to be changed. And I think the intense relationship that we had in the beginning, which again, I understand this is pretty much how narcissist relationships work. It is this love bombing thing in the beginning that goes away, and then it's, you can do nothing right. And I thought like that was us in detail. Right. So when I got away, I think everybody was kind of relieved, and we all went no contact with her. And I didn't want to do it any other way. I didn't want to know what she was doing or really care, to be honest. And I was able to shut that door and close it and lock it. And that went for phone and email and everything. And I just thought, to
to me, it was able to close the book for good and put it on the shelf. And I've had no reason to talk to her. I do have one thing because the water bill was in my name and it's still in my name. I still get the statement. And I need to reach out and talk to her because if I call the water company to try to remove my name, it is so stupid, but it's a little thing I got to deal with. And I'm dreading dealing with it. Mm-hmm. And I have two avenues. I can just take my name off the water bill and in 5 days they cut her water off and she'll find out the hard way. But I'm sure that becomes some TikTok video about what a bastard I am. So I'm like, I got to tell her, hey, you need to call the water company and let her know you're there. But I don't want to have a conversation with her. So I'm just putting this off. Everything else has been changed. Driver's license transferred over. Everything else that could possibly be changed or transformed is, including myself, is in a constant state of transformation. I don't want to open that door again. I prefer to keep it closed. So it's one of these where I see the statement every month and I just delete it. And so I don't know how long I'll keep doing that, but it is a weird little thing of that should be a nothing conversation between two people that I just don't want to have. I really don't want to have it. And it's sad that that's what the relationship has become. That's after 4 years of the first woman in my life I'd ever asked to marry me. It's become that. So this has definitely been a learning. I'm still single and I prefer that. I still feel like I'm working on myself. I don't want to, I'll have people friends are at the bar and people like, you should date so-and-so. And I'm like, that's great. But I don't really want to. So I'm just happy, still trying to heal, to be honest. I still feel like I'm healing and I have bad days. Her birthday was 2 weeks ago and I knew it, and I don't know why that bothered me. I think because we had done things over her birthday the last, 4 years. But, and of course I didn't say anything and I just went on. I'm glad I was working that day. It was a Saturday. So it kept me busy, but it was in the back of my head and I think about it all the time. I just don't want anything to do with her. And I prefer to keep it that way. So yeah, it's a strange way to break up.
Maybe you could text or email about the water bill. So that you don't actually have to have a conversation. But what I appreciate that you just said was that, you're not dating right now because you're still healing, you're working on you, you're rebuilding you. And I think that is a mistake that people often make is they get out of, a bad relationship or a relationship that wasn't necessarily healthy and they jump right in to something else, which often is also not healthy because they haven't healed the issues that brought upon the patterns that they fall into that brings the unhealthy relationship. So I appreciate that you said that. What does it mean to you to rebuild? As you look at yourself in the mirror, what have you done and what do you want to continue doing as you rebuild and grow?
Mentally, physically, I work out every day. I go for a long walk in the morning. Finn gets me up first thing in the morning. I go for a long walk in the morning. Then I do exercises in the morning and then I get ready for work. And then I usually go open the bar. I work 4 days a week out of 7, but they're like 10-hour days, 12-hour days. So it all works out fine. But that's a big proponent of it. My creative life, honestly, has been amazing this year. That was another thing too, which is again, a narcissistic thing that they don't really care about your achievements. I wanted a book deal since I was a kid in high school. And I remember sitting at the lunch counter, I was a 10th grader and reading about Stephen King when he sold Carrie and his wife wasn't there. So we went and bought her hairdryer and told her about it. And she was so excited. And I just had this image in my head of when I get a book deal, if this ever happens to me, I want to have a moment where I want to go buy her a hairdryer. It just was a dumb little thing that I just wanted to do. And this was in October. And I had been working with this publishing house and working with these editors, and they still hadn't said we were going to take me on as a client. And we were going away on a trip to Pennsylvania to work on a piece of property that she had that we were turning into an Airbnb. So we were getting on the plane the next morning, and I get a call from my editor. It was Sunday night, and she said, "I know you're getting ready to travel, but I just wanted to let you know we're taking you on as a client. We're taking your book on. Congratulations." And I was floored, and I was so excited. And her response was kind of like, Yeah, I'll care about it when the book comes out, which was not anything I thought it would be. It was almost like, and let's focus on what we have to do, which is go to Pennsylvania and do the Airbnb thing. And I was like, okay, but I was still kind of like, this was a big deal to me. It was just a huge, I don't know very many people that have a book deal from a publishing house. I just don't know it. It's not anything that happens every day. And I just remember thinking that said a lot to me at the time. So actually having that book come out in November was a big deal. I just won a screenplay competition. I beat 1,000 other competitors out of the San Antonio Film Festival. I had to get up and make a speech, which was crazy, to get at the Tobin Center in San Antonio to get in front of an audience like that. And all I could see were lights. And I said something and everybody said I did okay. So I feel like I didn't sound like an idiot, but I thought I sounded like an idiot. The audio projects I'm doing are great. So I found my creative mojo again, and drive this year has been a big proponent of this. Work has been hard work. It's labor. It's intense. You're always on stage. I feel like when I'm working as a bartender, you're moving all the time. You don't take breaks. You just work. And it's hard, but my body's gotten used to it. I've gotten adjusted to it and I like it. So that's been a big boost. So these little things, the dog, physical, cutting things out that I knew were bad, or at least minimizing, I still like to go to an outdoor movie and have a couple beers. I love that. I just don't do it as much as I used to. Like that was maybe something I do once every 6 weeks or something instead of every week kind of thing. So, and still finding things that I want to do or things that make me happy. That's important. And that's been my outlook moving forward this year, is almost like a mental checklist of how am I doing? Yeah, physically I'm doing okay. Mentally I'm doing okay. Creatively I'm doing okay. I'm just single, but I'm not looking to date, so that's okay. And so I'm just, I feel like what I'm doing is healing and finding me again. And those are the two things that I felt like if I could do that this year, that would be important. And I booked travel. I gotten us concert tickets last year to go see an event that we didn't go to. So I went by myself, which is normally nothing I would do, but I went to a concert by myself. I'm going on a trip to London to see a stage play and then taking a train to Frankfurt, Germany to go see relatives in November by myself, because I just was like, I want to do that. So I'm starting to look for things that I went to Austin last week because I wanted to go to a drive-in. So I just got a hotel room and stayed by myself. Just things that normally nobody would care about. But to me, it meant, yeah, why not? I'm going to go do that. And those are things that are actually helping me. But I'll be honest, it's still a day-to-day. I can't get her out of my head. I want her out of my head, and that would be great. And I think that happens in time. And I understand that. I do not have a woe is me or how can I go back, because I don't want to. Everything is moving forward. And it's a little scary, but at the same time, it's also invigorating because I feel very positive about the little things that I'm doing. They don't have to be, gargantuan or giant, but just little things that build up over time, to be honest. They all add up. And I'm seeing that a lot. And so we're doing this interview in the end of August, and it's been, how many months? And I feel like I'm getting better all the time. So that's kind of where I'm at.
You talked about spiraling up versus spiraling down, which is what often happens for people when they leave a relationship, and particularly when there are difficult circumstances surrounding the end of the relationship. What in you drove you to do that? What inside you just really said, Sean, we are going upwards. We're not going to sit and be a victim and wallow. We're moving forward. What gave you the ability?
It's easy to woe is me. It's easy to drink and smoke and complain. It's really easy to do that. I just didn't want to. I honestly had this mindset of, I think part of it was I also, narcissists are always out there looking at anything they can. And even though I've blocked certain things on my social media, I know she's out there. I know it. So I wanted to project as much positivity as I possibly could to basically tell me I was good, but also anybody who was looking, hey, I'm doing all right. That was a big deal for me. And to not, exaggerate it. It's like, I'm doing pretty damn good. It's been pretty damn good. Right. What's been happening to me lately? I'm in a good state of mind, and that's not a bad place to be. And that is something that I think just wanting that, not just, I just didn't want to wallow. I really didn't. I was determined. I was crushed. Yeah. But I was determined not to let that beat me down. I'd been beat down enough, to be honest. And I felt like I don't want to live like this anymore. I want to live different. And that has been a big motivation to move forward and be positive about things and not look at me. I'm really kind of even none of doing this is a little odd, to be honest with you. I like to talk about this stuff, but I do feel like I am very trying to put out a positive mindset and just go day to day. And there are good days and bad, but there are a lot more good days lately than bad. I'll be honest with you. And that makes me feel good that things are going the right direction. And the further away I get from her orbit, the less I want to be in it. And that makes me feel good. And also I did consciously, anybody who she had worked with, associated with, I kind of cut all that out. I didn't want to see pictures of her. I just didn't want that reminder. I didn't need it. And so I just severed any of the social media, her friends kind of connections that I had because I didn't need to have them. She was like, don't hit on my girlfriends. And I'm like, I wasn't planning on it. Like I'm pretty good that it's not going to happen. So I'm not looking to kind of jump into something else here. I just, it was easy to kind of let it go. And it was very kind of ground control, Major Tom, just kind of drift away. And it's kind of what I felt like I did. I just drifted away from all that stuff and I don't know where I'm going, but we'll see. So that's kind of the vibe I've got going on right now. And that makes me, it's all positive. It's just, it's easy to be negative. It's just easy to it just is. And I chose a different path, to be honest. I didn't want it to, I knew it was going to be hard, but I didn't care. It was easier than what I had. So
you hear about a lot of people, or we see a lot of people who do make their life on social media look amazing. They never show the behind the scenes. They always show the highlight reel, as they say. And it sounds like she was kind of that person who appearances really mattered to her.
100%, 110%. The selfie picture was always the thing. Where's the selfie picture? We'd take a bunch to find the right picture to post. And when I stopped doing that, I could tell that kind of was because it felt fake and phony to me. Or I would look at pictures and go, oh yeah, we got into a giant blowout fight right after that or right before that, but we're smiling for the camera. And that just seemed phony. And I just thought, I got tired of that. I just got tired of projecting this image that wasn't true. We weren't happy. We weren't in a good place. And there was no reason to let other people think we were. Now, there was a time we were. It was, right. I'm not saying it was 4 years of misery. There was a lot. There was a lot of good times that we had, but I looked at images of those that we had posted, and I remember thinking, oh yeah, we got into a blowout right before then or right after that, and it was just kind of like fake and phony, and I just didn't care as much as she did. She had a TikTok page that she would post her exercise videos and pictures of her in spandex. And I knew the audience for that was not exercise aficionados, but I didn't care. That was her business. I just would let her do it. But she would go through my social media for shit to find, to then be pissed off about. And our first big blowout was, your ex-girlfriend posted on your Facebook page. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And it was a girlfriend I had in college. So I was 18. And I think she posted on 20 other people to say happy 4th of July or something. It was an absolute nothing thing. And I was like, I don't even remember what this woman sounds like. And I was like, well, why are you friends with her? I'm like, I don't know, but I want you to delete her. I'm like, her mom just died. I'm not going to just delete her. But it was this kind of arguments for the sake of arguments about nonsense that made no sense. And I was just like, why are we doing this? Why are we even having this conversation? And I would get this. And it would be like, see how you're reacting. You have an issue. Right. You need anger. And just right back to it. And it just drove me batty. And I could care less who thumbs up or who hearts, whatever. I don't think I ever cared about any of that stuff. I will do social media stuff, mainly about my creative projects or pictures of me and my dog and stuff like that. But if so-and-so doesn't like it, I'm not throwing a fit about it.
Who cares?
Or going to talk to somebody about it. I just don't lose any sleep over it. And to her, this was paramount. This was stuff that was, why don't you care? Why don't you fix this? And I'm like, what is there to fix? Well, why do I tell it? It was just, it was idiocy, and I could see it. it was really just starting to break me. It was Chinese water torture, like slow, steady drops over time that were breaking me down. And I saw what was happening, and I just thought, oh God, I don't like this anymore.
I'm floating away now.
Yeah, it was kind of that, but I've never known anybody to be more obsessed about social media than her. It meant the world to her, meant everything to her.
And that says a lot. I'll just leave that there. I know that you're not looking to date right now, but has the relationship with her and your time rebuilding kind of told you what that you would want in a future partner and what you wouldn't want in a future partner?
I still want, it sounds a little corny, but I just want a person that I can connect with and we're a team. And that's, I don't know why that's hard or just difficult to find. Or I want somebody who sees life as an adventure and wants to live as much as we got. Life seems so fragile now. Even a friend, this was a friend at the bar, a guy that I worked with, who's younger than me, about 10 years. We worked on Friday and I was going away to have this weekend in San Antonio and end up winning this award and had this amazing time at the film festival. He has a stroke on the way out. Now, we were fine working together. And that night he had complications where he had to go to the hospital and then had to go back the next day. And I was just like, oh my God. And so when I got there, like, well, how was your weekend? And I hear about this. And I'm like, who cares what I did, man? Are you okay? And it just showed how fragile life is. It was another recent example of how fragile life is. But that I'm 55, you hit a certain age, you start seeing it more and more. And you realize that time is finite. I'd like to say I'm middle-aged, but that would mean I'm going to live to 110 and that ain't going to happen. So I'm old. So I want to enjoy the time I have left and have the best time I can. And I would love to do that with somebody, but I also know that you can't, force that. And I also know that I do not want what I had. And I don't want someone who wants me to change. Of course, you want to find a way to connect with a person and a partner. I get that. But physically, or cut this out, or I don't like this, or you can't have that, seems juvenile and strange to me. It's like, well, then why do you want to be with me in the first place? That's the kind of thing that I would be on the lookout for. But I don't, right now I'm still with the mindset of I'm going to kind of see what I can do on my own and get out of my comfort zones. Things like this are way out of my comfort zone. The trip on my own is going to be completely out of my comfort zone, but I want to do it. And so I do have this walls of fear that I think a lot of us seem to be falling away. And I don't know if that will invite people into my life or not. I imagine it will. But I also know that you can never make these things happen. They always happen when you least expect it. So I think that's how I'm moving forward, where sure, I would love to meet somebody. And I also wouldn't want to meet somebody and be like, God, I hope you're not like my ex and she was blah, 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 blah. I want to go let that go. So I'm just more of just me in my mindset and let the past be the past and let it go and have a great present and an exciting future, I think is really what I would love to have.
I love it. Well, to be out of your comfort zone, you're crushing this. So bravo. Something else that a lot of people are fearful of, we're going to chat about quickly before I let you go. We're going to talk about tattoos. I believe that you have an amazing tattoo story. So
this is actually a good one.
I'm just giving you the floor here.
Tattoo. I never had a tattoo in my life. And one of the things my ex liked about me was I had no tattoos. That was a big deal to her. And I just never could think of anything I wanted on me permanently. So when we broke up, I thought, I'm getting a tattoo. I had no reason why, but I just thought, that was one of the first things I did, like the second or third week in February. And my nephew is a tattoo artist. So I said, I'm going to go to my nephew and have him do it. And he works in a tattoo parlor in New Braunfels, Texas. That's where we got engaged. So I thought that way I'll see that city in a whole nother light.
Right.
So I got the number 111, like an alarm clock. I don't know if you can kind of see it. It's kind of right there. I got that tattooed on I'm left-handed. I got it on my left arm. 111 is my angel number, my number. It's my lucky number. It's always something I carry around in my back pocket kind of vibe. And I got that tattooed on me specifically because it was a new me, a new direction, in fact, anything I've done this year, I did like, I connected with a PR firm for the new novel and they wanted photos. And I said, well, I'm going to go to a photographer and have pictures done, which I'd never done before. And that was weird, having to pose and do things, but they all turned out pretty good. And I wanted new things. Everything had to be new. I didn't want to go back to last year or the years before for anything. I wanted it all to be from zero onwards. And so that's I have one tattoo on my left arm, and people said, well, now it'll lead to other ones. And I'm like, maybe, but I can't think of anything else I want on me right now. So we'll see. But this one I cherish, and I'm so glad it's there.
I love it. And I love that there was like a tiny part of it that was for spite. I'm not super familiar. I know, like I've heard about the angel numbers, but will you tell me what the 111 means?
It's one of the like 1s and 11s I've seen my whole life. Is like a signpost or a guide. It doesn't really mean anything. To certain people, I guess it means something. It's almost like I flip a coin. I used to smoke cigarettes and I stopped smoking. So I carry a silver dollar around with me and flip a coin everywhere and screw around with the coin in my hand just because I do. It's just one of these weird things I do. I would, whenever I saw 1s or 11s, November is always a big month for me. And it's funny, this year I got a book coming out and I'm going to Europe. So didn't see that coming a couple of months ago until they gave me the release date. And I decided, to hell with it, I'm going to go on this adventure by myself. All happened in November. So November is always a big month. January is a big thing. 111, the first time I did a creative production company was 111 Productions. It's just one of those things that have been with me for a while. And I always keep an eye out. So if I see 11s or any form of 11s, to me, it's a signpost that, hey, things are going good. You're going the right way. This is, whatever you're thinking or doing is the right thing. So it's a signpost for me.
I love it. I love it. Well, so there could be another tattoo in your future. It's open-ended right now.
Sure. Yeah, I'm totally. I know people that go to town, but and my sisters all have tattoos. My father was military. He had tattoos. I just never had any reason to.
Right.
And I always thought that was funny that was one of the reasons why she liked me. And when it was, I think it was week 2, I remember I just said, the hell with it, I'm getting a tattoo. I just wanted one. And then the fact that it was where we got engaged, I thought, good, I'll see that city in another light, another meaning. And I always think tattoos should have a personal meaning.
Agree.
And so that's where this one came from. So but where the next one will be, unless maybe I get drunk in Germany or something and get something tattooed on me. But I don't think that's going to happen. But we'll see. You never know,
Did you put it on social media? Your tattoo?
I did, yeah, because my nephew did it. So there's a picture of him and me next to each other. And I wanted to put it out there of like, look what I got. So yeah.
I'm sure she saw it. Sean, where can people find you? So if they want to hear more about your books or some of the other creative work that you're doing, if they, just want to come to Texas and know where to find the best big cowboy hat, or if they want to help you pick out your next tattoo or drink some whiskey, where can they find you?
I have a website called audibleparade.com. I was a Stephen King dollar baby. We got the rights to one of his stories and turned it into an audio production. I won a bunch of awards for that. That's there, plus some other audio. I like to make movies for your mind, and then information on the book. So audibleparade.com is kind of my main website. I work at Andalusia Whiskey in Blanco, Texas, and they have killer whiskey and just a great place to hang out. Very Texas. I feel like I got a stamp on my Texas passport. Working at a whiskey saloon just seemed like a very Texas thing to do. That and seeing Willie Nelson, and I was in a rodeo commercial. So these things that give me my Texas stamps, it's very Texas thing to do. So yeah, being a bartender in a whiskey distillery feels like it's pretty Texan.
I love it.
Those are, I think, Audible Parade and Sean Bridges, author, is out there. The book Gunbarrel Highway, there'll be links for that coming out. I don't have a pre-release link yet, but it's coming out in September. So that'll be out. We're doing the audiobook now. It'll be, like I think I mentioned, a paperback, ebook, and an audiobook. And I'm excited for that to drop. I really hope it finds an audience. So that's one that I just can't believe I'm getting this opportunity to have that. All the work that I went through to get it edited and everything you do. It's just an amazing thing. So I'm super excited about that. I've already got my next manuscript almost ready to go. So I'm continuing to write and create, and life feels pretty good.
I love it. Well, Sean, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. And thank you for really opening up, being vulnerable, sharing some of the more difficult aspects of what you have recently gone through to show how you are rebuilding and how you are putting yourself first and thriving on your own before looking for anything outside. So thank you so much for that.
This was fun, kind of like in a roller coaster way. My stomach feels like I went through a roller coaster ride. So I enjoyed it. It was like, yeah, I'd never done anything like this before, but yeah, what the hell? Why not? Let's talk. And I think that's something I can also take away from this. If there's anything I've gone through that people can relate to or help them, by all means, I'd like to help people. So it's good karma. So I love doing that.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Well, again, you crushed it. You did amazing. I appreciate you taking the time out to do it. And we are at the end of the roller coaster now. And I hope you had a good ride.
I did. It was a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Thank you for listening to the Strong Enough podcast. You can find us on your favorite podcast platform by searching Strong Enough. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Strong Enough Pod. If you have suggestions for an upcoming episode or a future guest, please reach out at strongenoughpod@gmail.com. Remember, you are worth it.